Hey everybody, this is it has been, I should say, a very interesting day and night to say the least. It was, as I can go by memory, August 9th of 1974, and I remember precisely where I was on that day. I was in suburban Nashville, Tennessee, visiting my Auntie Lovey. I was outside playing in the back. It was kind of a babbling brook. And cousin came out, actually a friend of a cousin, and the friend of a cousin said, I'll never forget it, Mommy, the president's on TV and there's snot running down his nose. Just like that. That was the day that Richard Nixon resigned from the office of President of the United States and gave what by anyone's account was one of the great speeches of all time, regardless of circumstance. I don't know that we're going to see that kind of moment from Donald Trump, because I get the impression that after today, we are about to embark, and well, really we already have, onto a journey unlike any we've ever seen in the history of this country. And that started this 21st day of August 2018. Hello everybody. Hey Sean. Hey John Marks. Thank you all for sticking around and waiting up. I went off routine, and as Rob Iman said, wrote for obvious reasons, he writes, impeachment starts January 2019. There is a long way to go between now and then. But let's recap what happened on what is the most crazy day I've ever seen in American politics in my entire life. All right? My entire life. Michael Cohen not only pled guilty to basically several counts if you like, of illegal campaign finance charges, hush money paid to two women, Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, both of whom had sex with the person who is now president of the United States. But the Trump campaign didn't want that out there because they thought, hey, he won't get elected if people find that to be, out talked about. Of course, as it turned out, Donald Trump did manage to survive the whole, tape thing with Bully Bush and grab him by the you-know-whats and all that stuff that appeared on Access Hollywood, right? In retrospect, he probably could have survived that too. In this crazy society, it might have caused his numbers to go up even more. Just saying. But he didn't do it that way. He had Michael Cohen pay out monies to them. But here's the issue. The big issue is not what Cohen did, but the fact that in court, Michael Cohen specifically implicated the President of the United States in his crime. He, instead of saying the man who proudly said that he would take a bullet for the president, when it came time to actually take the bullet, what did he do? He went, you take it. Okay? Basically what he did. He said, okay, here's the bullet. Whoa! And the bullet's still coming. It's like in slow motion. It's going zzz. So instead of taking, Michael Cohen's like, that bullet's for you, pal. He's saying to Donald Trump, that bullet's for you, Donald. That's what Michael Cohen did. Faced with the reality of his words, that's what he had to deal with. And I'm going to tell you something. It's not funny, okay? It's humorous from one angle, but from a small one and a narrow one. From all other angles, it's ugly and tearfully sad. It really is. I want you to consider this. Let's say that you work on a campaign. You work hard for the person you believe in. You wind up working in that person's office, doing whatever it is you're asked to do. Answering phones, filling out documents and forms, driving people, whatever, okay? And then all of a sudden, the person you work for, the person you believed in and believe in, is the focus, or it seems will be the focus, of a criminal probe. That happened to two people that I knew, friends of mine, who worked for Oakland Councilmember Larry Reed. And this was during the time that Councilmember Reed, as well as Councilmember Desley Brooks, were being accused of violating a part of the Oakland City Charter that every single Oakland City Council member has violated. And that's the one that basically says, hey, you can't tamper with the staff. Call them and say, hey, did you get this bridge built? I'm exaggerating. But every council member does that. They're expected to. They're elected to have that kind of contact with city staff. But guess what? The hardworking people who toiled under Larry had to lawyer up on their own dime. There was no special lawyer fund there, okay? They were scared to death. So imagine working in a White House, or imagine working for Michael Cohen, or imagine working for Paul Manafort, and all of a sudden you find that you're dragged into this. That's what a large number of people, particularly with respect to Mr. Cohen, are dealing with. And I say that because Michael Cohen had so many connections with the Trump campaign. But the reason why I said there's a long time between now and January 19th earlier is because Michael Cohen just implied that there's a lot more information that he has to give up. In other words, what I thought a long time ago was the case, he was lying, Donald Trump, about the whole statement he made about not paying money to Stormy Daniels. He said that on Air Force One, I believe it was April 5th of this year. And I remember staring at the set and saying, you lie, right? Hey, John, how you doing? I'm John Lacala. Welcome, John and Rob Iman and everyone else. I'm saying, you lie, right? And it turned out he did lie. He did lie. And Rob Iman says this is similar to Nixon turning over the tapes. I think it's worse, Rob, but I'll get to explain why I think it's worse, although I think you have a great point in a second. But when you have a situation where you could see as many as 20 people in the White House indicted or related to the president indicted. Right now you got 5. That means we got, what, 15 to go, okay? Now you're saying, do I want to name names? Well, you've got, what, Hope Hicks, you've got the, oh my God, the press secretary, the previous press secretary. There are so many people that I'm absolutely certain are scared blankless right now. It's not funny. And again, I want to say this, they don't deserve it. And I'm echoing something my mom said because she was really sorrowful for those people. And so is Nicole Wallace, who appears on MSNBC. And, you know, thank God for them for having the proper perspective, not just the, oh, they're all bad, throw them out. There are good people who get caught up because 1 or 2 people did bad things. When 1 or 2 people do bad things, it hurts more than just them. It hurts a lot of people. So it's not a time to gloat. It's a time to really feel sorry for the United States that we let ourselves get in this situation. We took our collective eye off the ball as a people, and we let this happen. We let it happen with our desire to dislike each other. We let it happen with our desire to not focus on that which requires our brains to really think about things. We've wanted the quick answer. We only wanted to hear about certain things. Like, I only want to talk about football. I don't want to talk about this. Well, you know what? That kind of thinking has played a role in getting us to where we are right now. We're in trouble, folks. Now, you can't tell from the market. You know why? The market was sky high today. Yeah, that's right. It had a rally. It went up, not down. It went up. You think I'm kidding? No, I am not kidding you. The market actually went up today. I mean, how nutso is that? It is nutso. But also, it's not only is it up nutso, but it's that one more thing that contributes to the overall problem. You think, hey, the market's good, the money's good, why should I worry about the government, right? Oh, day. Not a good idea, okay? Not a good idea. But on this day, or really technically, I should say on that day, since we've kind of moved into Wednesday, on that day, the Standard & Poor's 500 reached an all-time intraday high. That's right. An all-time intraday high. According to Bloomberg, U.S. stocks climbed, sending the S&P 500 index to an intraday record as investors speculated the Trump administration would ease trade tensions with China. So, on the very day that we think, hey, this is like the beginning of the end, the other guys, the folks with money, are like, hey, the trade tensions with China are over because of Trump. This is a great thing. So the market kicks up, all right? And it says the yen and the treasuries paired losses after President Donald Trump's longtime lawyer pleaded guilty to federal charges. So basically, the yen and the treasury went down, but the S&P went up, okay? And it reads here that Michael Cohen's plea deal confirmed after the markets closed in New York, including his saying he was directed to violate campaign law at the direction of a candidate for federal office. Also, following the regular session, Trump's former campaign chairman, talking about Paul Manafort, was found guilty of tax fraud, 8 counts. Among other charges, the news sparked mild demand for haven assets. Haven assets. And so the S&P 500 to that point had kept 4 straight days of gains, while a gauge of small caps closed at an all-time high. The dollar extended its slide ahead of low-level trade talks with China, and the 10-year Treasury yield rose for the first time in 3 days before a meeting of central bankers later in the week. All right, and but this is the quote here by a head of asset allocation for Pacific Life Fund Advisors, Max Gulpman, says, "This is an abnormally sentiment-driven market that we've had all year, so a new high could cause on the margin some investors to either get nervous or get bullish." And it says that I would argue, he argues bullish because we're hitting a new high amidst falling trade talks, failing trade talks with China amidst peaking margins. And then he says the shares rose Tuesday. All right. Point that I'm making is that this is proof positive that you can have a screwed up government and the markets are like, hey, we don't care. It's, you know, there's an out for us. But that's for them. And that's one example of why things don't get quite fixed. Because the stock market has nothing to do with how screwed up the government is. So we can't rely on the idea that this chaos is going to produce an economic downturn of some kind or a disruption in the markets, because it's not. Forget that. So with that, you would say, where are we? We're in for a ride. We're in for a ride. The only group that can save us from this ride, you and I. Why do I say that? Because Trump could decide he wants to pardon both Cohen and Manafort. The only thing left is, if he does that, Congress to take action. It's mostly Republicans, so they're not going to do anything. Unless, of course, you guessed it, the House is flipped. Unless, of course, you guessed it, the Senate is flipped or comes close to it. Okay? So, and that means people have to get out and vote. And if that doesn't happen, An indictment? Sure. An indictment against the president? Sure. Would Congress take action? Maybe not. Would the president seek pardons to protect himself? Most definitely. And beyond that, what would my crystal ball say? It would say, I haven't the foggiest idea where we go after that. Because again, it's unprecedented. Rob Iman says, Dow futures trading down right now. Thank you. John Akala says, if Trump is not impeached, I hope he doesn't run for president again because he'll be wasting his time and won't win. Rob Iman says, we'll see how quick Manafort and Cohen are pardoned. And I mean, here's my thought. What do you guys... All right. If impeachment is a 10 and non-impeachment is a 1, between now and January, what do you think the odds of impeachment are? I say there are 2. What say you? I say there are 2. In other words, I don't think it's very likely he'll get impeached between now and January at all. Rob Iman says 3. Anyone else? We got now 18 people here. Joe Lopez says people said he wouldn't win the first time he ran. I remember that. John Marks says 4. Mikael Lundquist says 7. Hey, Mikael. John Akala says 5. So far we've got an average about maybe, what, a 4.5. I mean, I'm saying 2. I'm saying 2. I think he's going to do everything he can to protect his flank. Talking about the president. Iman says Trump could face a Republican primary challenger if he survives to 2020. Now, the only way... Okay, here's the other question then. What's the likelihood that voters will actually turn out to reject Republican candidates? Like here, with this governor's race, we have Stacey Abrams by one poll, 2 points ahead of Brian Kemp, by another 2 points behind, which means they're even. Is this new journey the thing that pushes her over the top to become Georgia's first black female Republican governor? Is this the kind of thing that actually swings the House toward Democrats? John Marks says, how long could impeachment take in Congress? Didn't they try to impeach Bill Clinton in the 90s? Yeah, that took most of, by recollection, that year. It wasn't like a quick thing. Rob Iman says, Dems are polling well in traditionally red Arizona right now. And my question is, to what extent will that polling translate into votes? My concern about the Democratic Party is we happen to be at a juncture where in some areas of the country, also-rans, people who would be considered fringe in the past, have beaten establishment Democratic candidates. And so it's creating this kind of split in the party to a degree. And I'm worried that split will prevent us from taking advantage of what should be an easy walk to Congress, to flipping it. John Marks says, could California go Republican in 2020? That's the other thing. I mean, you've got Gavin Newsom versus John Fox. And Cox, excuse me, I keep calling him Fox, John Cox. I took Cox for granted. That guy came from nowhere, and now he's challenging Gavin. And so let's see if Google Trends are any indication of California's political future, as people have, the number of observers have said that they are, right? Including me. Let's see where the pair is right now. Talking about California Lieutenant Governor and friend of mine, Gavin Newsom, and his challenger, the businessman, as they say, John Cox. So we talk John Cox, C-O-X, there. John H. Cox is his name, American accountant. And then we'll add Gavin Newsom, Lieutenant Governor of California. Right now, Gavin is still not comfortably ahead, but ahead by quite literally 4-1 in terms of intensity. Overall, Gavin is trouncing him. It's Gavin 8, John Cox is basically not even registering. He registers a 1. So let me show you what I'm looking at so you understand. This is Google Trends, okay? This occurred right here during the California primary. You see the date right there? All right. There is the date. See, won't stay. Yeah, see that? Okay. And you see how Gavin was way ahead of Cox, but Cox was number 2 in what's called the top 2. Now, overall, the average, it's Gavin 8 and Cox 1. Now, that does not drill down to location. So what we do in order to make that, that's the entire United States. So considering that it's a California governor's race, is that fair? Of course not. So what we have to do, all right, look, the interest for John Cox, look at that. Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Jersey, Arizona, mostly red states, mostly. So let's just drill down to California, see what that looks like. So what it looks like, this is what it looks like for California. See that? This is California only. So Gavin still trounces right here, 7-1. So by this measure, Gavin should sail to victory in California. All right. So to answer the question, could California become Republican in 2020? This season is a good foreshadowing, and if Google Trends' habit of picking winners in the national and state races is any indication, the answer is no. No. To answer your question, John Marks. Raider Matt, how are you? Raider Matt, don't understand what you're typing, so I'm not even going to repeat it. John Acala says, do you think Trump will even seek re-election? You know, a number of people have speculated on that. And I'm just gonna say no, and I'm gonna say no for this reason. I think he's too tired. Okay, and I go back to the whole hullabaloo with his doctor saying he was in the best shape of any American president in history. Turned out that wasn't the case, and he turned out to be this. Yeah, what a sad story. You know, wherever you look, if you're a person who wants to like Donald Trump, as I bought into the persona of the entrepreneur from The Apprentice, hey, I tried to get on The Apprentice, okay? If you buy into that, as I did, then you are remarkably disappointed with the Donald Trump that you got. Yeah, so if you're still trying to find that silver lining that maybe he'll get better, I'm not seeing it now with respect to his health. I'm looking at the tremendous amount of stress he has to be going under. I mean, the only way that stress he could relieve it is maybe, hey, the guy's got a lot of money. He's got Mar-a-Lago. He's not your standard president. So maybe he has enough money where it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to give any money back. Maybe he's in the position where he believes that when you can, he's in a position where he believes that he can use the executive order and the pardon, and it's all good. Maybe he thinks that. But I'm going to bet that he's not willing to stand the rigors of another term. He's already gone through a ringer. All of it's his creation. And after today, it's only going to get worse. And you know what? When Mueller brings down his indictments, and he will, that'll be the test, okay? Rob Iman points out that David Garcia is leading in Arizona governor's race. That's interesting. Let me check on that. Now, when I say check on that, Rob, I don't mean I'm doubting you. No. I just want to see what the numbers are, because that's an interesting race. David Garcia. That's an interesting race. Here is my other prediction. How many women do you think Donald Trump bought the silence to beyond the 2? Would you say it's 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, or over 5? Again, the choice is 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, or over 5. So you can pick 1, 2, 3, or 5. 1, 2, 3, or 5. Okay. So what do you think? And Cowboy says, do you know what I smell? I don't know. Rob Iman says over 5. In other words, Rob Iman believes that over 5 women have been enriched because they had sex with Donald Trump, which I suppose would include the 2 women who were the alleged focus of the famous dossier that was written by the man who was described as a James Bond-like secret agent, right? You know, the Golden Shower twins? Zzz. Ooh. Cowboy says impeachment pie. Cowboy Russia says he smells impeachment pie. John Akala says over 5. Holy cow. So let's do some math here. If it's over 5 and it's 100,000, that's 500. Jeez Louise, that's $500,000. That is $500,000 of money spent to buy silence. Do you realize that? Oh. Over $500,000. Unless you want to take $150,000 and say 150,000 times 5. And then if you're doing that, you know, you're looking at, 5 times 5 is 25. So you're looking at you're looking at $750,000. Yeah, $750,000. Almost $1 million in payouts. Woo! Assuming that each one is $150,000. Woo! And who says ain't no Republican gonna run against Trump? To which I say to Pooh, how do you know he's gonna run? I mean, you know, Pooh on that, Pooh. Pooh, what say you? 1, 3, or 5? How many women? 1, 3, or 5? What say you, Pooh? What say you, Cowboy Wrestler? 1, 3, or 5? John Marks, 1, 3, or 5? Pooh says 3. Pooh says 3. In other words, a total of 3. You have a total of 3. Pooh says 3. Now, did I leave a number? No. I'll say 4. I don't think it's going to be over 5. I don't think John Mark says 7. Wow. John's rolling the high numbers tonight. John says 7. Cowboy Wrestler says Z, it's a clear campaign finance violation, but what's sad is that at this moment, Fox News is trying to spin this. How? Oh, let's see. Well, you know what? He asks how. All we have to do is go to Fox News, right? And guess what? All I have to do is type Fox in Fox News on Twitter. It says Fox News slammed for covering the killing of a college student more prominently than the conviction of Donald Trump. Yeah, Molly Tibbet. Sad. That's sad. That is very sad. Kumaji Nanji points out CNN Cohen implicates Trump. MSNBC Cohen implicates Trump. Fox News. Is a giraffe a type of tall horse? Okay. Donald Trump has his tweet, making America great again. Then there's the news about the... I think this is a cool, you know, story that Fox News has put out about the 200 South Koreans who were reunited with their families separated over decades. They crossed to North Korea to meet with relatives they haven't seen since they were separated during the Korean War. Beautiful story. And then Kayleigh McInerney, who used to work for Trump, I wonder if she's concerned about her legal bills. A vote for the Democratic Party in the midterms is a vote for open borders. It's a vote for abolishment of ICE. Yeah, that's a good thing. Born Miserable says, breaking, Donald Trump shoots someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue. Fox News says it's okay because it has nothing to do with Russia. Brian Setter, media critic. Here's the difference between Fox and everyone else on a night like this. Fox News shows acknowledged news, yes, but don't give the serious wall-to-wall coverage that it merits. Instead, the show moves on, to safer subjects like Confederate statues and democratic extremism and the VMAs. Fox News suspects people in one part of the Department of Justice secretly working with colleagues on other part of the Department of Justice. Nothing gets past these super sleuths. Wow. So, you know, Fox News is taking a beating here for the things that Fox News normally takes a beating for. Not telling you the truth, covering up the scandal, as long as it's a conservative scandal, and then emphasizing, right? Even if it's not a liberal scandal, they'll make you think that there is a liberal scandal, you know? Oh, excuse me, progressive. Sorry, I'm a liberal. They're progressive. Replying to Fox News Night, Manafort and Cohen busted, convicted, and pled guilty today, and this is what you're reporting? Why not put on Sheriff Joe Arpaio to do the weather? Hashtag racist. Oops. And then they tag Rupert Murdoch's Twitter account. Ooh. They are some of all over these guys. I mean, just all over. As Joyce Owens wrote, someone needs to do an expose on Fox News. And Sam gives Fox News the gold medal for mental gymnastics tonight. You can't make this stuff up, folks. This is incredible. Okay, so Cowboy Wrestler chimes in with 6. Wow. Okay, so we got John Marks at 7, Cowboy Wrestler at 6, me at 2, Pooh at 3. So it's starting to, you know, form a line there. Remember, I said 2. No, yeah, I said 2. No, I said 4. Not 2, 4. Yeah. Rob Iman says John Kasich could be licking his chops to challenge Trump in the primaries in 2020. Again, if Trump makes it that far. John Mark says, hey, 7-11, you win. Craps, you lose. Ding, 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 ding. And a guy named Lava likes Shepard Smith. I like Shepard Smith, too. I think Shepard Smith is a good dude. But it does not mask the fact that they do cover stuff up. Cowboy Wrestler says, simple. It's state of television for the Trump administration. Talking about Fox News. Sorry, but I don't play nice when it comes to this current administration. You know what, Cowboy Wrestler? Not many people do. I understand. I completely understand. It has been that kind of night. It really has been that kind of night, that kind of day. And you wonder, you know, what's next? You know, what else is coming down the pipe? So we type Mike News, the Fox News Manafort, and Cohen. Jury announces guilty verdict in some charges in Manafort trial, cannot decide on others. Jordan says, excited to hear from Fox News tonight how Paul Manafort's guilty verdict is actually really bad for Hillary and the Democrats. David Jolly writes this, eventually in this script, Trump loses, the GOP loses, Fox News loses, Giuliani loses, Falwell loses, Ivanka loses, Hannity loses, Kellyanne loses, Jarrett loses, Cohen loses, Manafort loses, Melania loses, Levin loses, Limbaugh loses, Pirro loses, Junior loses, Eric loses, we win. There you go, okay? There we go. I'm surprised someone didn't say, hey, Cohen indicted, dilly dilly. You know, Manafort indicted, dilly dilly. I'm shocked to find out I haven't seen a dilly dilly yet. Dilly dilly. Fox News, former Department of Justice official Tom Dupree says, I think, and I quote, I think at most the president is guilty of making a very poor personnel decision when he chose Paul Manafort to be his campaign chairman. Oh, jeez. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, that's like dope, okay? Oh boy. I mean, and oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. The Volatile Mermaid writes this. CNN, Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort. NBC, Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort. Fox News, how straight white man became the new N-word and why Obama, gays, and the poor are to blame. You can't make these tweets up. These are great. You can only recite them. You can only recite them. On Fox News, Greg Gutfeld deflects from Trump being implicated in crimes by his former lawyer with Molly Tibbetts. And I quote, what's important, I think no one at this Trump rally tonight will give a damn about Manafort or Cohen, but Tibbetts will probably be fresh in their minds. Okay. I mean, you cannot make up this stuff. You just can't. Just can't. John Mark says, Z, get this. I had Peter Liu talk to me today, or at least someone on YouTube pretending to be Peter Liu. Wow. When you say talk to you how? Explain that. Cowboy Russell says, Z, that's Trump's state television for you. Rob Iman says, Trump stopped at a whammy. Let's see here. John Mark says, ding, 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 Z's a winner. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. John Mark says, Trump, no whammies is no whammies, stop foghorn. John Akala writes, how much of a factor do you think Trump's won election because the United States had never had a history with a woman president? Let me turn that around. You're saying basically did Trump win because of sexism? No. 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 Let me put it this way. I think it's okay to dislike a candidate who happens to be female. And I do believe we reached that point in society where people can say, you know, yeah, I want to vote for a person who's a woman, but I want to vote for somebody I believe in too, and it's not her. I think that's what happened. Hillary Clinton, God love her, put too much emphasis, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, on an approach that Barack Obama would never use. President Obama never said, vote for me because I'll be the first black president. I mean, we all sort of got that that was going to be the possibility, right? Okay. I mean, that didn't have to be said. By contrast, Hillary let you know that if you voted for her, you were making history. You're putting the first woman in. That's it. But people didn't want just any woman. They wanted somebody they could like. Hillary Clinton, from television, from her way she ran her campaign, did not talk to people about their concerns. She talked to people about her. That's what it sounded like. Obama told her, hey, you know what? Have a message that appeals to everyone. That went through one ear and out the other. That was it. Hillary didn't listen. So no, it wasn't Hillary being a woman. It was Hillary not being the candidate people wanted. Not being likable. Like, for example, I think, excuse the pun, Nikki Haley would be a fantastic candidate. She comes off as likable and empathic. Plus, she's really attractive. Plus, she's really smart, okay? That's a Republican I would, you know, under a number of circumstances, cross to vote for. Being honest. I did it with respect to, said it before, Schwarzenegger. Okay? So there you go. John, there's your answer. And so, Cowboy Russia says, I've been alive since the Johnson administration. By far, Trump is 100% the most unfit individual to serve as president in my lifetime. Mine too. John Mark says, Peter Liu charmed in on my YouTube on your video of Peter Liu getting investigated. He's dog, present yourself with a valid name or else people will mistake you for one of Zennie's bot accounts or something. Oh. If that's the case, he's, you know what, he's, poor fella. Peter Liu, if you don't, for those of you wondering, Peter Liu is running for mayor of Oakland and got on Twitter and made a series of racist tweets. And I was brought, what he's doing was brought to my attention by Jesse Smith, who's also running for mayor of Oakland. This is Peter Liu's second go. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to amplify this. So if you type Peter Liu, L-I-U, Oakland in Google and click on news, you'll see the results. All me, for the well, mostly me, telling you about that. So other people say, well, how come the other news media didn't put this out? Well, I'm not concerned about that. Because I know the other news media were tagged by this guy. And they very irresponsibly failed to say, hey, you know what? This is a person who was a war vet, putting out racist tweets on social media, Twitter, who put out pictures of himself with a gun. What does that sound like but the ingredients of a potential, possible, maybe, you hope not, person who might do something vile that harms a number of people with a gun? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, okay? That's the signal this dude is putting out there. So yeah, I called attention to him. He doesn't like it. I don't care. I felt law enforcement should turn around and, you know, Mr. Liu, we're just checking on you. Yeah, so I did that. I did. So, Cowboy Wrestler says, I'm sorry, but Hillary was a terrible candidate. That's all I'm saying to John Akala, who did let me know if I answered his question or not. And said, oh, hey, John, I got that. I really don't want to talk about Peter Liu tonight a lot. All right, I find what he does disgusting. I get no joy in talking about him because he should not be allowed to run for mayor. No one should be allowed to run for mayor using race as a tool to incite anger, okay? I'm glad you think so, John. Thank you. But, okay. But you hear what I'm saying? Excuse me. I don't think no one should be allowed to do that in Oakland or anywhere. There should be an explicit law against that. John Mark says, yeah, I know Zennie, but it was weird he would talk to me. Well, he talked to you. I mean, it's a great thing, you know. Hey, consider yourself privileged. He thought you were one of my bots or something. Wow. Meaning you have no individual thinking. Controlled by Zennie. The puppet master. Thanks, Peter. Wow. Wow. Nope. Not at all. So what else we got here as far as news? It's almost 2 o'clock. I'm going to chime out. Mainly because I meant to come on later. Did not. Well, this David Garcia guy, I admittedly know nothing about. This is KTAR News. That's what it's called. K-T-A-R. You think I'm kidding? It's like star. They have instead of having the S, they've got the K. So it's called KTAR. KTAR News. With about a week until Arizona's primary election, David Garcia maintained a commanding lead in the Democratic gubernatorial race, according to a new poll. Garcia, an education professor at Arizona State University, was the choice of 40% of likely Democratic primary voters in Ohio, Predictive Insights poll released Monday. That was 15 points ahead of his closest competitor, State Senator Steve Farley, who polled at 25%. The third candidate, nonprofit CEO and former Minister Kelly Fryer, was at just 7%. More than a quarter of voters for the August 27th primary weren't ready to commit to a candidate. Here's a quote. With over 28% of the likely Democratic vote still undecided, it's possible we could see a surprise come election night, Mike Noble, managing partner and chief pollster at CH Predictive Insights, said in a news release. Garcia showed particular strength in three key areas, leading Farley by 17 points among women, 24 points in Maricopa County, and 25 points among self-identified liberals, which means I should like this guy. However, Farley was ahead of Garcia by 14 points in Pima County. Don't know what that means. Nearly half of those polled, 46%, said they'd already mailed in their early ballot. Another 34% said they planned to vote early, while 19% were waiting to vote at the polls. Interesting. According to the poll, which was conducted August 14th to 15th and had a margin error of plus or minus 0.04%, education was the top issue at 39% of Democratic voters. Healthcare was next at 30%, and immigration was a distant third at 9%, which is pretty cool considering it's Arizona, I think. But despite Garcia's overall lead, the results were a big improvement for Farley since a poll done about 2 months ago by another firm, which they don't mention. In a data orbital poll, yeah, they do. A data orbital poll conducted June 19th through the 21st, Garcia was leading with 33%, Farley had 11%, and Fryer had 6%, with a whopping 49% undecided. All right, there you go. Got your Arizona politics fixed there? All right. Go A's. Cowboy Rush says, go A's. John Acala says, do you think Connie Rice, A's win 6-0. A's are on a roll, man. Do I think Connie Rice will make a good president? I can't imagine her campaigning to get there. I really can't. For Condoleezza Rice to find that part of her, I think, you know, to get out and campaign and testify and promote, I think it would be the full flowering of transformation that she's gone through, but I just can't. I can't see her doing that. So there you go. All right, I can't see her doing it. All right, I can't. All right, folks, it is now almost 2 o'clock. I'm going to sign off because I am feeling myself fading. Thank you all very much. See you tomorrow. I will try for the normal time. Meaning earlier than this time, okay? So, there, all right? Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll resume a somewhat normal pattern of conversation tomorrow. But I had to talk about this Trump thing. This Trump thing, right? Good night, everybody. See ya. Thank you all. Watch horror films. Writing good night. Watch horror films and keep America strong. Okay? Watch horror films and keep America strong, as John Marx would say. All right. Good night, everybody. See ya. And pray for the United States. We need it. We definitely need it.